listening to We Watch Movies.
I'm Ava.
I'm Jenna.
And we watch movies. So this week we watched Blood Red Sky, which came out on Netflix, I believe, on July 23rd. It is a German movie that is spoken in part German, part English. And it's been sitting at Netflix number 1 for a while now. It's about vampires on a plane, kind of, sort of. And it's definitely a time. So we're going to talk about it. Jenna, what was your initial reaction?
No thoughts, head empty. It was a mess.
Okay. Yeah, it certainly was a thing that exists. It's very chaotic. It starts off pretty slow, in my opinion. I remember sitting watching the movie and thinking that time was passing really slowly. Like, I took like 2 different breaks because I needed to go to the bathroom. And I remember every time I came back, I would like press play, but I would see that the time bar was still like, I'd be like, oh my god, it's still like over an hour left of this movie. And it's not because the movie's like particularly long. I think it's only like 2 hours or something. But it has weird pacing, I guess. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, no, the pacing is kind of all over the place because it starts out okay in the beginning. It's slow, but like, it's understandable. But then just by the middle, it's just all heck is broken loose, and I could barely keep track of where we were even trying to go at this point.
Yeah, so it follows this mother and her son Elias, or Elias, or however she pronounced it, and they are on a plane from I believe it took off from London, but they were German, something like that, and they were going to New York, because she is sick from what appears to be cancer, but we later learn is not cancer. And she's going to meet with a doctor who's going to like give her a blood transfusion and replace her bone marrow, etc., etc. And she's taking off on this like night plane ride and everything, and then their plane gets hijacked by these I think they were German terrorists. And I don't really know why they were hijacking the plane, but they did. And she kind of hulks out into a vampire and starts eating people. And then other people become vampires and start eating other people. And eventually everybody becomes vampires and starts eating people, except for the small child. And this one guy, Farid. So that's generally like the gist of the plot. If it sounds a bit chaotic, it is. It's certainly a vampire story unlike any other that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of vampires.
It is not Twilight on a plane.
Okay, but it amuses me so much that this came out like right in the midst of this Twilight fever, since they put all the Twilight movies on Netflix and everybody's like, oh my god, Edward, oh my god, Jacob. It's like, I swear, it's like these movies are new. And then you get this movie, and in this version of vampires, the vampire the vampire like affliction spreads more like a zombie virus, and the actual look and behavior of them I think is more akin to a traditional Wendigo. But obviously Wendigos become Wendigos by eating other humans, whereas this vampire transmits by a bite, similar to a zombie. Or I think regular vampires do that too, but like it's kind of confusing there. There's a little bit of gray area. But like, no, I've seen so many different kinds of vampires, like Twilight vampires, Dracula vampires, True Blood vampires, supernatural vampires, like a bunch of different kinds of vampires, okay? And this is certainly the most out there. I think it would be most similar to Supernatural in the fact that it is more than just the fangs. Um, but it's so much more monstrous, which I did. Part of me liked it that it was a completely different take on the monster, but also part of me was like, this isn't a different take on a vampire, it's just taking another monster and calling it a different name.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, did they only started using the word, like, vampire at, like, the end of the movie? And, like, I feel like you could have just called it something different. Because the other half of the movie, people were like, oh my god, it's a monster. Like, just... It doesn't have to be a vampire.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly I don't think that it should have been a vampire. I mean, except for the fact that it does hate the sunlight and it does drink blood, which in that case it is kind of like a vampire. So if they didn't call it a vampire, I'd be like, bro, that's just a vampire. So it's like it's this weird amalgamation of like a bunch of different monsters. And so I can't tell if I think it's creative or if I think it's like a ripoff of other things. And I don't know if I'm gonna make a decision on that.
Did she need to be invited in anywhere?
Well, she needed a ticket to get on the plane.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's it. There's her invitation to get in somewhere.
You see, this movie has so many questions about its lore, and there were a couple of scenes, which I think were my favorite scenes, when they were flashing back to kind of how she became a vampire, and they had these moments developing this lore about their own vampire virus kind of thing, and this evil that's spreading, and I don't think they had enough of it. They had too much of this, like, action on a plane kind of situation, and not enough of the development of the lore, which I think could have made it a lot cooler. You know, I think it would have been a lot better if they had developed the actual monster that they were trying to get us to care about, you know?
Yeah, I think it definitely would have made it stand out more than just bloody action movie on a plane with some monsters. I think I would have respected it more if they had gone for the angle of, like, actually going into their lore and trying to, like, build up this whole, like, monster vampire thing, instead of just saying, yep, let's put her on a plane, see what happens.
Yeah, I have never seen Snakes on a Plane, but I feel like it's probably in the same vein. But I feel like Snakes on a Plane might have been better.
I've never heard of Snakes on a Plane.
You've never heard of Snakes on a Plane? That does exist, right? I'm not making fun of it, or I'm not making it up. Oh my god, I can't talk right now. It's a lot later than we normally record these, and it's not even late. I'm just tired, man.
We already recorded like half of this episode already.
Yeah, we had technical difficulties, and some of the audio got deleted, and so we have to record it all over again. We'll record the first half of it. But don't worry, guys. It's a whole new conversation. So, there's, like, they had, back on the lore thing, things that, there are just so many, like, questions that they just didn't answer. Like, they didn't answer what medicine she was taking to kind of quell the symptoms and everything. They didn't answer what it was doing, or who gave it to her, what kind of doctor she was gonna see. Like, all of this stuff, they didn't really explain any of it. And, like, how did she raise her kid to be, what, like, 9 years old or something? Over these years with this, like, affliction, I guess. And I just don't... there are so many questions that they could have answered. And I just think that it would have made a lot more sense as a viewer to have understood more about what's going on with her, rather than it turn into this, like, zombie movie style thing, because that's what it is at the end. I mean, they all become monsters, and it's just the two regular people at that point, Elias and Farid, and they're both trying to not get bit while a ton of monsters are clawing at them, trying to turn them. And it's just like, okay, well, hello, Army of the Dead. Didn't expect to see you here tonight.
Yeah, no, I just realized this. So there's that whole scene where Farid, like, gets bit on the hand. So the main character grabs the axe thing they have in the plane and immediately chops his hand off, like a little below the wrist. Like, how did she learn to do that? Like, did it work? We have no idea. Like, the last, like, flashback they give us is, like, of her, like, trying to raise Elias, and then her finding some of this, like, medication in another vampire's house. But then we don't get any more of that. Like, how did she find this doctor who's trying to help her? How did she make it this far in her life?
Do you think she instinctually cut off his hand? Or do you think that, like just to stop it from flowing through his blood? Because they did say that it was a blood thing, right? Because she was going to get a blood transfusion and a marrow transplant. So maybe she was like, oh, maybe it hasn't spread enough or whatever. But, like, it would have been... there's just, like, a lot of missed opportunity. If they make a sequel, it better be a prequel. It better be about her and her trying to learn about this. Because otherwise, bro.
You know, like, honestly, I almost would have preferred a movie of vampire mom trying to raise her child while also deal with this affliction that she has. Like, I would watch that, and that would be great. But instead, we got this.
Let's get a comedy about, like, a Dracula-style vampire trying to raise kids in 2021.
Oh my god.
Like, Dracula, but as a dad to Gen Z kids. He'd be like, oh, children, I am undead. And they would be like, yeah, so are we, Dad.
Oh my god, wait. He has, like... He has an Instagram, but he can't take any photos of, like, his outfits in the mirror because he's a vampire. Has to ask his kids to do it.
Oh, he dresses up his kids in his outfits. It's like, do they? Oh, poor Dracula. Oh my god, Dagcula. Sorry.
Oh my god, some network. Pick this up.
But I don't know, it would be so much more interesting than what they gave us, you know, if they just, I'm not talking about Dagcula, but, like, yes I am, but, like, no. But just, like, giving us more actual development into the world, like, more world building, please. Because they gave us, like, these hijackers, which I still don't know what they were doing, except for hijacking. That's all I understand. And they're just like, oh, these are monsters that they get powered up by drinking blood. But they also get meaner when they drink blood. And they, transmit their, malady, I guess, by biting other people. And they have a bunch of teeth. And they can't stand the sunlight. And they're on a plane. Either we need a prequel, or we need a picture this, like, a prequel that's intercut with, like, a sequel, right? But it's Elias, but he's older. And he's a vampire slayer. Elias the vampire slayer. And, he's hunting down, like, say one of those vampires got away, and he's trying to stop the spread. And he's like, it's intercut with flashbacks from when his mom was raising him. And so he, like, kind of learned all about the vampire-ness, right? From her. And he's, like, trying to destroy it. And he's, like, both working on a cure, but also trying to stop them. I don't know if he's killing them, or if he's, like, capturing them until he has a cure, but, like, something like that. So he's trying to quell the thing that destroyed his life and took his mother. And, yeah. I think I would watch that. That's cool.
I am raising my hand.
Uh-huh.
What if the vampire that got away, that he's like chasing, actually turns out to be his mother?
Bum certain death. If anybody gets that reference, please let me know.
What is the reference? I feel like I should know it.
Have you watched Labyrinth?
I have not, but I keep hearing things about it.
Jenna!
Wow, it's been a while since you've had to do that.
David Bowie in tights, okay, with like Muppets and an infant and a giant maze and more Muppets, and there's this girl and she's walking around with some Muppets and she saves the infant and David Bowie becomes an owl.
Okay, so I knew the David Bowie thing, and I feel like I knew the Muppet thing. I'm too busy laughing at this huge brick of sound wave we have on our recording from when you yelled at me.
Well, homework.
Okay.
Have you done any of your summer work yet for like APs? Because aren't you in like 8,000 APs next year?
I am in 3 and then one other one. That's not an AP, but it's an AP.
Jenna, you are in AP podcast. Okay. And your summer work has been quite backed up. You're supposed to catch up from last semester.
I'm still trying to catch up from October when we made this thing, okay?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry for this little tangent here. This is our 44th episode of the podcast. We're gonna cap off the season at 50 and then take a bit of a hiatus because, it's a lot. And that's gonna be like, college, application time. See, I'm not gonna be here for episode 45, which is kind of depressing. So y'all are gonna have to put up with just Jenna. And nobody to give her homework.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna try and get a guest, but like, if it's just me talking to you for 50 minutes, don't be surprised.
Oh my god, I hope it's just you. I'll listen to that. I'll sit through all 50
Maybe
minutes
I'll
of
do
that.
like half and half. I'll get some friends to join me later.
I'll listen to that while I'm at camp. I'll make my whole camp listen to it. We'll have a nice little pause and we'll just listen to you.
The pressure is
Just
on.
talking.
I have to learn how to edit this episode that you're listening to. So if it's just a garble of nothing, that's my fault. You're welcome.
Yeah, if you didn't know, I'm the master editor that has put together these podcasts since October. And Jenna's learning so that so that she can do it while I'm away. So that's cool.
For the record,
But
I'm not
anyways.
lazy. I have offered to learn how to edit it, so Ava doesn't have to do it every week. But she
I'm
likes
just-
doing it the
I'm
way that
just-
she does them, and she does a good job. So
I have a method. But anyways, this is all besides the point. The point is this movie is pretty whack, and it got a 72 on Rotten Tomatoes, and like I said, has been number 1 on Netflix for some time now, and I'm just kind of confused as to why. Not that it sucked, but it was kind of, I was expecting, like, based on the movies that we've seen and like the quality of them, I was expecting like a 42 on Rotten Tomatoes.
for reference, the movie we watched last week, The Last Letter from Your Lover, last time I checked, it had like a 53 on Rotten Tomatoes. And I think that movie was
I
better
like
put
that one
together
more.
than this one.
Yeah, I agree. Better. There was another movie we watched That was we've watched a lot of movies. A lot of the movies that we watch are like not high scoring. But okay, wait. Let's just compare it to one of our other ones. What have we done that's similar to this? Do you think?
Like maybe Ava, or not The Last Second, or The Second. Yeah, it's just called The Second. Not that one.
I think what is it? Sentinel, because that was also
That's
foreign.
what I'm trying to think of.
Okay, let's compare it to Sentinel. Let's see, what did Sentinel get? On Rotten Tomatoes, Sentinel got 70. What?
Well, wait, how many people reviewed Sentinel? Because I think that was our thing, that like not a lot of people actually watched it.
But 58% of actual users liked it, which is pretty low. How many actual users like this? Oh, 78 liked. It's 78 on Rotten Tomatoes now. And 78% of users liked it. Interesting. This is weird. Because I don't know. It's like... I don't know why everybody's all like obsessed with it. I really don't know why this is number one on Netflix. I really don't understand. I'm not saying that it's terrible, because it's not. It's just it's kind of haphazard, I guess would be the term. I don't know.
Yeah, it felt like some attempts were made, but then once they really got into the meat of the story, they just started throwing everything at the wall without waiting to see if it would stick. And now it's just like a Jackson Pollock painting of things.
Yeah, they were like, let's like make this vampire creature, and we're gonna give it its own lore. We're gonna make it its own thing. Okay, because I feel like if they didn't establish vampire, it wouldn't be this bad. But anyways, they're like, okay, we're gonna make our own lore, but we're not gonna tell the audience any of it. It's just gonna be, we're just gonna have the lore, and we're gonna tell them that we have the lore, but we're just not gonna tell them the lore. And we're gonna just instead make big plane fight sequence.
And that's it. That's the movie.
I mean, like, okay. If they gave us, like... not that Dracula would do very well in this setting, but say they gave us Dracula. Everybody kind of knows that kind of a vampire. You know, everybody knows, like... Well, actually, I don't know what traditional Dracula does, but, like, everybody knows generally the vampire. Like, traditional vampire, stab them with a wooden stake, they die. Put them in the sun, they die. They have two fangs, they drink blood, they hate garlic, and they can turn people into vampires by biting them. We got that. We know this. But they decided to come up with a new creature. And, like, I mean, it's followed some of the same rules, but not completely. So, like, if you put, like, that traditional vampire on the plane, and we're like, oh, she's a vampire, that's her problem, and told us that. I mean, not necessarily just be like, oh yeah, she's a vampire, but, like, found a way to tell us that she was a traditional vampire, follows all the traditional rules, then I feel like it would be a lot more comprehensive. And a lot less weird, probably, because it wouldn't be the zombie Wendigo weirdness. But instead, they decided to create a new creature, but didn't want to tell us about that new creature. Which is annoying, because in, like, creature films and everything, the coolest part about them is the creature, you know?
Yeah, like, I think I would have just much more enjoyed knowing more about the creature. Like, I feel like there were definitely ways that they could have incorporated, like, flashbacks or, like, more of that story through different events that happened on the plane if they hadn't just gone for, like, a bloodbath, which is what they chose to do instead. Like, we have movies that do that already. Do something new.
Yeah, like, honestly, if they, we need more movies about Wendigos. Okay, because this made me want a movie about Wendigos instead. Not that a Wendigo on a plane would be much different, but I don't think Wendigos transfer like that. It would be more so like one creature against the world. Just like mowing through these other people. But I feel like that. See, Wendigos I think are so creepy because it's like a person and they weren't turned into it, they turned themselves into it because they like were somewhere in the wilderness or something. And they were driven to a point of such desperation that they ate another human. And they turned into this monstrous creeper. Oh my god. Sorry. Creature with this insatiable desire for human flesh. And they like lurk in the woods and they can like mimic people's voices and everything. Like that's such a cool monster. Like it's able to mimic sounds and draw you out and everything and prey on your like instabilities or whatever. That's so much cooler than whatever this was. Because this looked like a Wendigo and kind of behaved like a Wendigo, but without all the coolness of a Wendigo. And it behaved like a vampire, but without all the coolness of a vampire, which is them being kind of like human looking and able to blend in and stuff, you know? And I don't know, I feel like they copied a lot of different monsters, but didn't take the coolest parts of them. Like even the zombie-nish, oh my god. Like I said, I can't talk right now. The zombie-ness of them all, that was... I mean, the cool part about a zombie is that they're undead. You know? But these guys weren't undead. They just became these vampires. And it's like, can you make something with, like, the cool parts? Like, if you took... Okay, picture this, right? I know I'm talking for a really long time, but bear with me. Picture this. A human who is undead, who looks like any other human, can blend in, can even mimic other people's voices and everything. Can draw you out, lure you into vulnerability by mimicking other sounds, and wants to eat you. I feel like that's pretty creepy. Better than whatever they created.
Yeah, I mean, this was just like a beast that just wants to consume. And it wasn't really like the only thing that made it more scary than like a particularly dangerous like predatory animal that we already have is that it at first appeared to be human and wasn't really anything we'd ever seen before.
I don't know. I think that the scariest, like, threats in horror movies are the threats that are smarter than the average person. You know, like, monsters that are intelligent are the freaky ones. And like, I don't know. And then the people on the plane themselves weren't that likable. I mean, there was Fareed, and I liked him. But the other ones, I didn't really have any reason to like them. I didn't have any reason to care about the people on that plane. Probably because there were so many, there wasn't enough time to develop them. There wasn't enough time to give us a reason to care about them or like them. They just kind of existed. There were a bunch of them, and then there were Elias and Fareed. And then there were the hijackers, which, frankly, I think they only lasted like halfway into it before either becoming, Vampzombigos, before they became those things, or they just died, okay? And I still don't even know why they were hijacking the plane. And so I don't know, they weren't, like, the people weren't particularly smart, and all of I don't know, man.
Yeah, because, like, the hijackers, like, first they told all the people on the plane, like, we're doing this solely for monetary reasons. Once the ransom is met, we'll let you go. And while it's probable that they're lying, like, then they went into this whole thing about how they're gonna try and, like, blow something up over London, and it's like, okay. But then the movie never like gives the actual action a timeline. Like, you're on a plane. Like, if you tell us like, oh, we're 5 hours from the destination, that gives like that feeling of crunch time, except they kept turning the plane around. So honestly, by the time everything is happening, you don't even know, are they still going to America? Are they going back to Germany? Are they going to London? Are they going to that airspace in Greenland they mentioned in the beginning of the movie? Like, you just don't know what's happening. So it just makes everything worse because you have no way of knowing, like, when the movie is going to be over, and we already talked about how the pacing made this movie feel a million years old.
Yeah, like, I mean, I get that they were trying to do something different by putting it on plane, but and I mean, there were some ways in the usage of the plane that they excelled. Like, they used that cargo bay a lot, which is something that you, like, never see, unless you work on a plane, I guess. But there were so many aspects of the actual plane that they could have used to their advantage, which would be like the time constraints. They could have used some of the different like materials that you find on a plane. Like, I was recently watching a show where they blew a hole in the side of the plane, and a character uses the flotation raft to plug up the hole. And stuff like that. Like, there's a bunch of stuff on planes that could be used in creative ways, you know? And there are so many better things to do on a plane than just infest it with, what did I call them? Vampzombigos?
Yeah, I think so.
There's so many better things to do with a plane like that. And making your audience just confused about where you're going and what time it is and all that stuff is just not gonna help your case. Like, your audience isn't going to want to watch it if they don't understand what's going on. And it also, like, that goes back to the fact that they didn't explain, like, any of the lore or anything. Like, we didn't know what was happening. We didn't know what was going on with her. We didn't know what was going on with the plane. We didn't know anything. We were pretty much in the dark this whole movie. And they're just like, oh yeah, Vamp Zombie goes on a plane and we're gonna kill you. Yay! I was like, bro, can we just have some more substance, please?
Yeah, and I just, like, if anything, I wish they'd picked one. Like, do you want to make a more monster movie, or do you want to make hijacked plane, main character has to fix the situation? Like, pick one, maybe? And go for that instead of trying to mash the two of them together, because putting, like, this creature, the whatever you said,
Vampzombigos,
the Vampzombigo onto the plane, like, you're really limiting what you can do with it, because as you said, they did do interesting things with the plane, but it would kind of be cool just to see it, like, in a city somewhere, like, things that are happening, instead of, like, let's put them on a plane, so then they're just, at the end, just running around through different parts of the plane that we've already seen before, and just making, like, this messy tangle of things that just make it so hard to keep track of everything, and also kind of makes it hard to, like, plot the movie out, because now, oh, we started out in this area, then we're going here, oh, but then we're gonna go back there, and it's like, it was weird spatial awareness in this movie, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, the plane felt both way bigger than it should have been and way smaller at the same time, if that makes sense. It was just, like, it was a confusing setting to put it in. And, like, I get that they were trying to be interesting, but, like, I feel like the plane setting, because it is kind of claustrophobic and it has some interesting constraints, it would have been better. I feel like if our protagonist was being hunted by, like, one thing, and that one thing was a person, and, like, the person was trying to kill them, but, like, on the plane where there's not many places to kill somebody and there are witnesses everywhere and people can hear you scream, I feel like that could be more interesting. Like, somebody trying to kill somebody on a plane, and, like, or two people trying to kill each other on a plane.
Yeah, I like all of those
Something like
ideas.
that. Because I feel like that's just better than making it some sort of senseless chaos, you know, with like a monster that you can't really shoot for some reason. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna drink your blood. Okay. It's kind of boring, but okay. I don't know.
Weird flex, but okay. But like, if you want to try and apply that to this movie that we ultimately got, because like I'm a sucker for cat and mouse type stories, like, oh, you can do that well, just I'm sold. So you have this lady who's a vampire, and she and her son are trying to get to America where they can kind of start afresh, and she's trying to like retain what humanity she has while trying to fix her affliction. So she's on this plane trying to go there, but there's this vampire hunter who is trying to stop her from leaving because maybe this vampire hunter like doesn't understand that she's trying to get treatment and that she's trying her best to hold on to her humanity. Throughout the whole movie, it's them trying to escape one another and like humanity and stuff. And like, I don't know, maybe the vampire hunter can try and accuse her of trying to hijack the plane. So you have that aspect, but it's really just a ruse and no one's actually hijacking it. I don't know. Just maybe don't go for full out carnage. It wasn't that interesting.
And make it gay.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's just a subtext. If I open my mouth, just imagine I said that.
But like I totally agree. It would. I feel like claustrophobic areas lend themselves better to like controlled cat and mouse kind of stuff, because the chaos is better when it can spread out, because then your characters have places to hide and stuff. Like when you have like Army of the Dead, there are a lot of issues that I had with Army of the Dead, but none of them was the setting. Because I think the setting was fantastic. It was a large place with some great set pieces and some great design, because they had the entirety of Las Vegas, and so they were able to have these big scenes with these massive zombie hordes, right? But there was like a chance, because if you put a massive horde on a plane, people don't really have a chance unless, I guess, they're tiny or they have the ability to close a door, even though doors didn't really stop them that well in the past. And I don't know how they didn't get Elias when he was under that car. They were about to get him. They would have gotten him. They should have gotten him. They should have eaten that child, but I digress.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's talk about the child who should have been eaten. This child, he can't be older than 10. He's probably like 9 or something. But he's like the most competent character in this movie. Because like, not only is he kind of like this sort of like vampire whisperer, because he knows everything from his mom and no one else like really has the time to understand the vampirism in this movie. I mean, as an audience member, I certainly didn't. But also, he like does so many things over the course of the movie, and it's like, you are 9. Chill out, dude.
Yeah, I did think though that his competency was like a good balance, because children in movies tend to really bother me if they're either too competent or too incompetent. Like, if there's a child who's like a genius, I get really mad, because I'm like, oh, that's so overdone. Everybody has child geniuses in movies these days. My god, he might as well also be mute. And then there's also like those what is it, the incompetent ones that are just like, especially when those incompetent children are actually adults, that bothers me even more. But when they're like actually like actual children and they're incompetent and they're getting into trouble and they're just being annoying and they're just being children, I'm like, bro, you're a child, stop existing. Okay, that was kind of mean.
Ew, what do you have against children?
That's not what I meant, but it also kind of was though. Anyways, but like this child, he understood what was going on, but he wasn't annoying about it, I guess. I guess if that's good as a description, I think maybe possibly.
Yeah,
please.
and like they framed it well too, because he'd have this idea and they'd be like, well, no, okay, that's an idea, but you can't do that, you're a child. And then you'd be like, oh, well, I'm gonna totally go do this dangerous thing anyway because I know it's going to work, but I'm also not gonna think through the consequences of doing it. So then he'd run off before anyone could grab him, which makes sense because like he's competent in the sense that like he has an idea and can technically do it, but he's also a child running into like a basement of vampires, so obviously there's going to be problems that he's not thinking of.
Yeah. Hang on, that was just really strange because I heard the thunder through my window and also through your microphone. That was big thunder, man. I didn't know it was storming right now.
I know, I'm sitting right by my window. And it got dark, so I couldn't see any of the rain, but it's been falling for a little bit.
Oh. I wonder if they can hear that on the recording. There was one, I don't remember what episode it was, but we were in the middle of a massive thunderstorm and you can hear it if you go back. If you feel the desire to go back and binge watch our podcasts, you'll find an episode where there is crazy thunder on both our ends. And it's like kind of an echo because, I don't know which one of us hears it first, but it's like weird because we're close, but we're not like super close, but like we're close, you know?
I'm trying to look up what episode that was because I feel like if I just look and like compare when they were, I'll be able to, because it wasn't that long ago. It was probably an episode in June.
Yeah, it wasn't. But anyways, no, I do think that this kid, the actor, was pretty good, especially in that scene with his mom at the end. I don't know what was going on when the mom was just like shoving him and he was reaching out and then she shoved him again and then he reached out and she shoved him again. But he was I think he was a good little actor for like somebody so young. He did a pretty good job, and I know he was probably like 13 or something, like the actual actor. Actually, we can figure this out. How old was this actor? Cast. How old are you, Carl Anton Kach?
It wasn't the Awake episode, right?
I don't know. It doesn't say how old he is on Google.
Come on, Google.
But, okay, you know something that was interesting about this movie? So, normally when we do foreign movies, I listen to the dub, because I like to kind of be able to understand what I'm hearing. But since this was in and out of German and English, I decided to keep it on the original audio. And also, I've been learning German on Duolingo for a while. It kind of goes in and out depending on how busy I am, and if I have a really long streak and then I lose it, let's be honest, I get really mad, and so I rage quit for a while. But I've been doing pretty good lately, and I liked being able to watch this and kind of understanding every once in a while when they said words. Like, so sometimes I was able to grasp what they were saying without looking at the subtitles, but I had the subtitles on. But, like, if you are learning German and you're an English speaker, don't listen to the dub, because it's kind of cool, because you'll be like, oh my gosh, I know, Schnell. Oh my god, I just said that with such an American accent that's kind of uncomfortable. But yeah, like, there are a couple words that I picked up on. There are a lot of words that I didn't, because people in German, just German as a language, likes to make large words that are just combinations of other words. But, like, I recognized doctor, I recognized fast, I recognized kill in, like, all its many forms that it appeared. I recognized a lot of stuff. I think I recognized love at one point. And I was like, wow, that's cool.
I think I recognized one of the curse words you taught me.
Oh, yeah, that they used that one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's fun. It's the most basic, I guess. if you watch this movie, you'll know exactly which movie, which word they were saying. Another word that you probably understood was hallo, because that's just hello. It's not them saying hello in a German accent, because I used to think that whenever I heard people speaking in German. But no, hallo is hello in German, which is fun.
You know, I'm more of a like original audio and subtitles person because I watch everything with subtitles anyway. So more often than not, I wind up just not watching dubs. So I can't really comment on what the quality of the dub is, but it was definitely interesting, like the mix of German and English in this movie. Because at first I was like, the movie opened and I had refreshed my Netflix tab because I literally went from one movie to the next. And at first I was like, Netflix is telling me that it's in the original German audio, so why is everyone talking in English? I was very confused for the first, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, mine was playing the dub automatically, but at the beginning I was like, hang on, this is like a fantastic dub. Like, their lips are so synced. What's going on here? Yeah. And then they started, or one of the doctors came out and suddenly it wasn't synced, and I was like, hold on. Something's not adding up here. But like, I don't know, it was cool. There are some gems that you can get from listening to the dubs, because sometimes it's just really awkward. Remember when we watched Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight? And they dubbed, everything, including the makeout noises?
Oh, makeout noises.
And it was just really weird. It was like, okay, let's just... I don't think that the Americans are gonna understand... what kissing sounds like in what was it, Swedish or something. So we're just gonna make it make it American for them. But I mean, I know there are some people who are like, ugh, I cannot watch dubs. Dubs suck. They're terrible. But I feel like they're very useful. You know, I like to be able to look away from the screen for 2 seconds and not miss an important line or something. I do like to understand what's going on without having to read sometimes. Even though I say that, but also I have subtitles on every streaming platform ever. Always. But I think that it's super useful because also it goes into other languages. Anybody who wants to watch any movie can because of the dubs. And I mean, for the most part, it's not awkward. After a while, you kind of forget it's there. I remember we watched, what was it? The one where Oxygen, that one. Yeah. We watched that, and the dubs were very useful because there was a lot of, scientific terms that they kept talking about. Random, important details that you couldn't really miss without not really understand what was going on, because everything was in this high-tech little scientific chamber thing, and having it in English was really helpful. So I don't know, it's kind of I don't know, there's a lot, it's part of that sort of gatekeeping culture. People are like, oh, you like foreign films, but you like dubs, so that means you don't like foreign films. Which isn't true. I mean, I don't like gatekeeping to begin with. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Listen, did you watch a movie? There you go, you watched the movie. You're allowed to have your opinions on it, no matter whether that was subtitles or dubbing or whatever else. Don't be mean to other people.
I watched a movie. In fact, we watched a movie here on We Watch Movies. I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to cover about this movie, so I will leave you with the fact that you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok in our description box below. Also, I'm putting our Twitter in the description, so that's cool too, because we have Twitter now. On our Twitter, I'm trying to, I retweet some things that other people post, but also I'm trying to, every time we see a movie that we're not really covering on the channel, or maybe movies that we do cover on the channel, we're just trying to make little baby reviews, but just positive things, like good criticism, just like our favorite thing about the movie, our favorite thing. So we get some positive vibes on our Twitter. So if you want to have the best thing about whatever movie we're seeing in our private lives, you can follow us there. Our TikTok, I'm probably gonna spam it again one of these days, because that's what I do, I guess. I spam it and then I go dark, and then I spam it and then I go dark. And then our Instagram, we're in the works of trying to figure out what we want to do with that. But if you want to be around for when we finally do figure it out, follow us there so you don't miss it. If you're not listening to us on YouTube right now, hello, you can probably follow us on whatever platform you're on. If you're on YouTube and you want to listen to us on other platforms, all of our links are in the description below. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, all that good stuff. It really does mean a lot for the channel. And it also means that you won't miss out on our other content, because we post other kinds of videos on here. We post regular thought out videos every weekend or so. I've been kind of doing vlog kind of stuff-ish, little bit, yeah. And we have some other cool things in the works, so it really does mean a lot when you guys subscribe, or you guys like, or even leave down below what you guys think about the movies that we talk about. It really does, we really do appreciate it, because it helps out the channel, and it lets us know that people like what we're doing, which is, that's the best kind of feeling, you know? So don't hold back. Do not hold back. And you know what? Go ahead. Tell us that you hate us, too. Yeah, let us know that, too. Because, while we're crying ourselves to sleep, we're also getting help with the algorithm. So, you can do that.
I can think of worse trade-offs.
And, yeah. I think that's all I have to say. I think I covered it. Oh yeah, and so next week for our episode, I'm not going to be there, sadly. I have another commitment, and we're actually pre-recording this one as well. So I'm gonna be away for 2 weeks, and we figured that doing 3 videos in one day was kind of a lot. So you're gonna hear either it's gonna be just Jenna, which will be a hoot, or Jenna with another guest. So that will be cool. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, really means a lot. Thank you so much for watching. We love you all. And, Jenna, anything to add?
So you've heard of Drunk on a Plane. Get ready for drunk on blood and going into a frenzy on a plane because of a vampire.
Okay, bye!